Welcome to the garden I've dreamed of, where wisdom gathers, where grandmothers listen, and their voices collective weave hope for generations. Can I tell you my favorite place? It's where stories are told through the skill of our wonderful Sandra Lobb. Can you hear the echoes of their experiences resonating with yours? I invite you to explore them. What a joyous time it has been for me. What a joyful gift we can bring to each other and to the mothers and the children yet to come on our precious home, here on our dear Mother Earth.
Welcome to this. All of a sudden, I went speechless. Our sharing today. My name is Suzanne Lewis, and I am one of the co-founders and visionaries for the Global Grandmothers Council Network. And in 2019, I was facilitating a workshop with Brooke Medicine Eagle called Wild Women of the West. And it came through that it was the time for the grandmothers to show up and to speak for the sacred feminine. And at that time, we here in Boise initiated our Facebook page, and Grandmother Sharon immediately came in and provided the safe vessel for us to even figure out how to get on Facebook and to communicate. So the Global Grandmothers Council Network that we're launching at this 1221 Gateway is an opportunity for us to honor and respect grandmothers in a platform where we are safe and respected. And Global Grandmothers Council Network is deeply committed to the care of Gaia, Mother Earth, and to embracing healing and transformation for all the generations past, present, and future. We hold all life in all forms sacred, our ancestors' wisdom as treasures, and are building bridges to embrace the multiplicity of ways we may enrich our families and communities. We hold this as a sacred trust. It is said that we are our great-great-grandmothers, our ancestors' prayers made manifest. And I am holding the prayers, we are holding the prayers for our children's children's children for 7 generations to come. So I am going to introduce Grandmother Marcine through Sharon's interview. So Sharon Lobb's interview can now be played.
Just a second before you start recording.
Oh, we're recording now. It's going. Grandmother Marcine Quenzer is an artist, educator, and author of books and curriculum that tell the Haudenosaunee Story of Peace. She is presenting the original instructions for how it is to be a human being in this world. She's showing us the manual for how to do that, bringing forth storytelling through those ancient stories and through her art. Grandmother Marcine's inspiration comes from the traditions and legends of the Native Americans, amongst whom she has lived for the past 20 years. You facilitated the Indian Territory Culture Center in Oklahoma. With your husband, you taught young people Native American social dancing and songs. You have created Spirit of the Winds, right? That's your latest endeavor, or was. It's the epic of the peacemakers, which we so need now. So, Grandmother Marcine, it's a pleasure. Would you please tell us more about who you are and what you'll be offering for the Tending Our Roots on December 17th?
Well, being married to Jack King, also known as Kennesaw, and being down there in Oklahoma, I learned and heard these incredible stories. And they would just have visions dancing in your head of the love, the incredible stories. And so I started painting them. And then as I painted them, I discovered nobody knew the stories. Even the Haudenosaunee didn't know the stories. And so that's when I decided I needed to do a book out of it. And the book is Spirit Winds of Peace. There we go. It is. It took me 20 years to do. It's filled with 50 of my paintings, all original artwork. But more important than any of that is what the stories teach and what they tell. And so when I do my talk, because we are doing Tending the Roots, and the most basic roots of all is the stories from the beginning. And so I will be taking possibly, we'll see how the time goes, but possibly 10 of their origin stories to bring out what the teachings are in each one that are part of their worldview and the basic difference. They think different than we do. I'm not Native American, but I have spent, I don't know, close to 30 years being associated with them, living among them, and learning from them. And I found there the absolutely most beautiful spirituality that I do believe is on the face of the earth. I'm prejudiced, I will admit that. I love the Native American stuff. And I love the way that it teaches you about all the spiritual things that are going on around you. And that's part of their so-called medicine, is learning about the quantum worlds that coexist right here on the planet with us. And they could travel between those so easy with a thought. And so there's just so much to learn from them, so much to be shared. And I'm not sharing their view. I can't give it because I'm not Native American. I wasn't raised in it. But I can share what, as a white person, I learned from them. And I think that that right there is powerful all in its own.
Beautiful. Indeed, it is. We are going to look forward to hearing those stories, Grandmother Marcine. Is there anything else you would like to say? This is just the intro, just a teaser. So another moment or two of final words before we see you again on the 17th.
Well, storytelling, I think, is my gift. That's one of the things that I've been sent here to do, that through these stories, people can hear and learn and hopefully feel. And then I've got the addition of the art that I've had people tell me it brought the stories home to them. They thought they were just stories, like myths, like legends. And they have said, which is an extreme compliment to me, that when they see the artwork, they see the reality that these stories were real and that they really happened, and that I guess that's it.
I'm feeling it now. You're giving a transmission of it right now. I'm feeling it through my body. These stories are so important. We want to see your artwork and your beautiful face next week. So thank you, Grandmother Marcine.
Well, thank you, Sandra. I appreciate so much this opportunity.
So here's Grandma Suzanne here, who is water medicine woman that is being asked to go with the flow. As you just heard in the interview of sweet grandmother Marcine, the date she heard was the 17th, and today is the 16th. And so we're punting on our presentation today. And I would like to share a little bit about Mayana and the Peace production. Mayana came on board in April. She is connected with what is making this website possible. And so what we're going to do, Mayana, is collaborate on what we're going to do. And I really have a great story. One of the things I want to say about the grandmothers is we're the eternal storytellers. We're in the Far East, we're the holy scribes. We're the ones who are the moral compass of our community and our relations with nature. And so one of the things you and I were brainstorming just before we started this is to elaborate about being a grandmother. And the question is, do you have a grandmother story? And I have a very important grandmother story. But to you, Mayana, do you want to weave in Marcine and...
Okay. Yeah, I have known and been in community with Marcine for close to 15 years. When I met Marcine, I was so astounded by her art and the beauty of her stories. I have carried her book, The Legend of the Peacemaker, because it so touched my heart how she writes about the founding of the Iroquois Confederacy, and she shares how they found a way to bring in the most challenging, I don't know that I say it right, but the Todadaho, the most evil man in the community. They surrounded him with love, and he became the leader eventually. He had never felt love before. So this is one of when Andrash and I were in Oregon, Southern Oregon, and we were working in Ashland, Oregon, with the founding of the Culture of Peace Commission, the Ashland Culture of Peace Commission. And I knew of Marcine's story, and I brought her to Ashland to teach them about this process of how the Iroquois Confederacy was founded and how to make peace with those most challenging aspects in our world. And she came and she brought all of her art, and she had a beautiful art show for the community. And she held ceremony for the Ashland Culture of Peace Commission. And we were in circle, and she told her story and she showed her artwork. It was just really, really a powerful, wonderful experience. And following that event, she had her van stolen with all of her art in it. And a dear friend from Mount Shasta was the one responsible for finding the van, and some of the art was recovered. It wasn't all salvageable, but some of it was recovered. To me, Marcine is a quintessential teacher of original stories, and I will get with her and we'll record her original story and share it later. But I want to just share my screen here for a minute about to share with you what she has. Can you see this? Is that visible to you? Not yet. Okay. Here we go. This is her painting of White Buffalo Woman, White Buffalo Calf Woman, White Buffalo Woman. The Spirit Winds of Peace series, her Epic of the Peacemakers. These paintings are just incredibly beautiful. And they're all available. You can see them and see her art at marcinequenzer.com. But she also has a curriculum of the ways of the Haudenosaunee. She developed it with a public school educator in Idaho. It was approved to be taught in Idaho public schools. That's a big thing. If anyone knows the school systems and the varieties of things in the different states, Idaho is a challenging one. And this curriculum is going to be available in Grandmother's Marketplace. If you're a homeschooler, anywhere from 3rd to 6th grade, elementary school, it might even be adjustable to younger students that are really bright and can get things quicker. It's going to be in the academy, in the Grandmother's Academy. My mistake. It will be available for sale for homeschoolers, for private schools, for students, anyway, it's a full year curriculum on the way of the Haudenosaunee. So that's kind of exciting.
One of the things I've known Marcine since the early 80s. And at the time I was on the farm and we were in alliance with the indigenous people trying to protect the waters and the people. And so we had gatherings a lot of times right in my backyard downtown Boise at the hot springs. And we who were advocates for the indigenous people who had lost their voices, not respected, showed up. We showed up for years advocating for the indigenous people. And Marcine is one of these people that showed up, that we formed circles so many times, repeatedly. And one of the anecdotes about Marcine is that from my cultural background, it's influenced by the traditional indigenous people's standards. And that meant that only indigenous people had the rights to do sacred ceremonies or dances or rituals, and that those who were not the traditionals, who were breaking the law of the land. And so with Marcine and others like my friend Brooke Medicine Eagle, when they were stepping out to share the indigenous wisdom, it caused great strife in the community and around the world. And so my favorite little faux pas is the teachings of White Buffalo Calf Woman. It is so significant. No one can claim ownership that this is our story, just my story. And so what I'm going to say right now is, as a response to the oral tradition that I have listened to so many people share this story, The way I understand it is that many indigenous people, and indigenous means of the earth, of the land, walking with the ancestors of the land you're walking right now, believe in the Dawn Star. The Dawn Star is the return of the peacekeeper, the peacemaker. Some people call him Christ, Jesus. Some people call him the elder brother. And in the way I have been trained is that we have the elder brother, but we also have the elder sister of equal ranks. And elder sister is known in many cultures as white buffalo calf woman. And she is the epitome of what the Grandmother's Council is all about. And so Marcine and I got to model cross-cultural diversity, our use of the wheel, our use of power animals, our language. It is very determined by where we literally walk and grew up. And so I wanted to give that little insert about Marcine.
I love that. White Buffalo Woman, I knew of her, I knew the stories, but I had not had a real connection with her until December 12th, 12/12 of 2010. Oh. I was holding a ceremony in Lincoln City, Oregon for the 12/12. And in ceremony, I don't usually channel. I have had beings come and I listen to them and I'll share what they say, but I had a thing about channeling. I didn't want to turn my whole being over and lose my awareness. I didn't want anyone to speak through my body without my awareness of what was being said. So this came through. She came to me and she came through me, and I felt the truth of who she was, and she spoke through me. That was the first time I let someone speak through me, but I was in awareness with her. And she said, honor the traditions of the natives, but don't get stuck in the tradition of the natives. Go beyond the tradition of the natives into your own nativity. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? So I got to spend the next months really diving into what is my nativity? Mm-hmm. What does it mean for me to go beyond the traditions of the natives and find my own nativity within the teachings of Earth? And through that time, I was in Utah then after that. And we were working with a group that was trying to support the indigenous people of Utah near Salt Lake. And we went to the director of the Indian Affairs for Utah, for the tribe there. And we were having a conversation, and I just said, well, some of us have memories of being indigenous, and now we're in white bodies. And, we all know that we keep moving and we keep shifting and changing through time. And he said, whoa, stop right there. Only 30% of indigenous people would believe that. And I said, oh, yay, because not only 1% of white people would believe that. It lives in us. Mm-hmm. These messages live in us and through us. And I came to find out that my nativity is from the stars, which I knew I was connected to the stars anyway, but that was what that means. And in Ken Carey's Return of the Bird Tribe, he actually says, we're here to tell you, to remind you that your nativity is from the stars. Yes. And my indigenosity is of Earth. I'm indigenous to Mother Earth, and my nativity is from the stars. And I think that is the spirit-soul connection. Our spirit is from the stars, and our soul is from the earth. And they merge in the human heart.
Yes.
And that's the elder sister. We talk about White Buffalo Woman being the elder sister. We could also look at Mary Magdalene.
Yes.
As that in the Christian tradition. That
that my book that I have is Holy Woman Reclaiming the Feminine Faces of God. And so I am so excited that Global Grandmothers Council Network is going to have an opportunity to share the kind of conversations that Mayana and I are having, that we are delighted to be the golden fountain of eternal truths. I wanted to bring, I started my studies with Brooke Medicine Eagle in 1981 when I had a diagnosed tumor in my brain. And she's all about the teachings of White Buffalo Calf Woman. And so White Buffalo Calf Woman is one of my great heroines. And I am excited to see what we can do with that at the Global Grandmothers Council Network. I have a fun story I'd like to share about grandmothers. So in 1984, I left society and went to the land to live. I thought I was dying because of this brain tumor. And during the 10 years I was on the land, we became the Monkey Wrench Gang. We began blowing the whistle on the ways that Idaho's waters are being tainted by nuclear sites. And we became spokespeople for the indigenous people. And at that time, grandfather Thomas Manyanka came into the farm's life. This spiritual Hopi messenger asked us if we would grow the blue corn, because the situation down in the South, his call was for diversity. And so we on the farm took it on to grow the blue corn. It's a symbol for peacemaking. So what I've discovered in the last couple of years as I've been speaking globally at different places is everybody wants to hear the story of Thomas Manyanka and the story of waking that we're in this giant river of change, and to find out who's to the left and who's to the right. But going back to Thomas Manyanka, we here in Idaho had an underground feather regime. It was illegal for the indigenous people back then to practice their natural religion, their spirituality. It was very dangerous. But we here have had an underground railroad where we helped the Hopis and other Indians by transporting sacred feathers and other things down south. And so in time, fast forwarding to as recently as this last year, my dear friend who was connected with Thomas so closely was passing. And I had been repeatedly asked, how did that blue corn seed get from Thomas to the farm? How did that happen? And so on my beloved Garn's deathbed, I asked him, Garn, I need to know the story. People want to know how did we get those seeds? Even though Thomas did come through many times. And Garn chuckled, and in his memory, he went back to Hopi land and visiting there often with Thomas, but Thomas often was away. And so who he really visited with was his wife, Fermina. And so the information I got from Garn is that it was Fermina that told Thomas that we at the farm in Idaho had to grow this blue corn to sustain the seeds for the future. And I chuckled when I heard that, because just a couple of years earlier, I had been with Dr. Clarissa Pintola Estes, and I somehow had this exchange with Dr. Estes. She's like my soul sister. And I told the story of Thomas and the feathers and the blue corn. And it was like people were just, oh, wow. And after I told the story, this elderly, glowing grandmother who was almost wheelchair bound signaled to me. And so I wasn't much better myself, but I went over to her and she said, "I'm Feather Woman. We still have some of those feathers you sent us. Do you need any?" Oh, it was like meeting a sister. And at the conclusion of Dr. Estes' week-long training, there was a grand ceremony. And the elders, the elder women's, Grandmother Willow and myself, led the processional. And as we entered this gathering place, you would have, I just don't know what people were imagining, but Grandmother Feather and I, arm in arm, as if we were in full regalia with our feather fans and our head held high. We blessed and circled the room. And that is what Global Grandmothers Council is about. We have to tell our stories. These are true stories. And how can we expect the generations to come to value us, to know that we've done the total giveaway so that the children's children's children will have a beautiful existence? Is that a good story?
Story. Fabulous. Thank you so much. You know, that this is a key, is we are gathering in Grandmother's Garden from the website, globalgrandmotherscouncil.org, so we can preserve our stories, so we can gather them together and collect them and not lose them, that then we'll be able to share them with future generations. You know, it's about coming together and being more than we are individually. And as we weave our stories together, I think there's going to be lots of books and films and things written and created about what's the truth of the feminine history of Earth that has not been told. And I have a little grandmother story I want to share from my grandmother. My grandmother was Ina Pruitt. She was a pioneer in Oregon. She and my grandfather had a girls and boys camp in the Steens Mountain of Oregon. My grandfather was a river guide, but my grandmother was an artist, an oil artist. And she painted the landscapes and the flowers and the birds and the trees and the rivers. And I was visiting her one day, and we were preparing supper, and she went out into her little flower garden outside the back door, and I watched her cutting some flowers for the table, and a little bird flew down and landed on her shoulder, and she talked to it, and she spent time with it, and then it flew away, and she brought the flowers in. And she had deer that were her friend that would come and eat bread out of her mouth. One of her deer, beautiful, every year brought her babies to meet Mambi, is what we called her. She brought her babies to meet Mambi every year. And she was such a gentle woman that when she wanted to get a point across, she leaned in and she spoke very quietly. You had to really listen. So you knew that was important because she got quiet. She didn't get louder to get a point across. She got quieter.
The power of the storyteller, the power of the troubadour, the power of the her historian, the power of the holy scribe, the power of, the earth mother, the water mother, the wind mother, the mountain mothers.
Yeah.
Let people know who are just joining or seeing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Marcine had some technical difficulties, or we had some scheduling challenges, one or the other, and both maybe. So we are missing Marcine, but we will record Marcine's the original instructions and share that out at a different time. But we will include it and share it here. If you're just tuning in and you're wondering, where's Marcine? We've had some challenges this morning, but we're winging it, and we're loving her and sharing her work. MarcineQuenzer.com. I'll put that in the notes also.
We'd really like to encourage you to join the Global Grandmothers Council website. It's open to all women. You can join for free, but if you have desires and intentions to get more involved, Maya, do you want to explain the other two parts?
Sure. So Grandmother's Garden, if you go to globalgrandmotherscouncil.org and click join, that will take you into Grandmother's Garden space. And that's our private communication space. It's a social media stream, kind of like Facebook groups, but it's private. It's not Googleable. We are in there just grandmothers. And then we're opening a marketplace where grandmothers can offer their goods and services. If you are a healer or a guide or an advocate, you can schedule by the hour. There's a calendar. You can say when you're available. People can book sessions with you. And there's a marketplace where you can sell your goods if you're an artist or a creator of some kind. We'll have, of course, Marcine's art will be in there, and Susan Meeker Lowry has perfumes that she makes that she'll be putting in there. And there's just a lot of things. There's even Grandmother's Closet where you can sell your antique things that you have in your closet that everybody wants their vintage clothing and jewelry. And the whole purpose is to support grandmothers, that the money goes into the pocket of the grandmother that's offering that service. And then we'll also have an academy where our teachings will be housed. And there will be some things that are there that are just open, free to get. There will be some things that you have to pay to get access to. But the marketplace and the academy are both public facing. So they are to the public, that the public can come and shop. And together we can gather all of these treasures of wisdom and art and items together and offer it to the public. Whereas one grandmother on one website can't get their stuff seen very easily. As we come together as a collective, we can market each other and share each other, support each other. And then when the store's shelves are stocked, it will be like a farmer's market. You go purchase from a grandmother. You go directly to the grandmother to purchase from her. It's not a storefront where you go fill your shopping cart and then go check out. It's you go to one grandmother and purchase from her. And that way you're ensured that you're supporting that grandmother. You know who it is you're purchasing from or getting wisdom from and sending your money to.
I think it's also really important. I know many people have heralded that I've led the way for the elders to be on Facebook, to do Zoom calls. And I'm just giving a voice out right now that many who might approach this website, it could be like Greek to them. So we have developed a system called the Angel System, where we've asked people to volunteer to help And there's these resources that people like my daughter-in-law, who's an advocate of women in business training process, that we're really a leading edge, innovative website that's never been available for women and elder at all. And so come join us. We have lots of positions that we have to fill the site now. Divine One and Mayana have been, and the helpers have just been doing the total giveaway to make this real. And that's what this 10 days, 12 through 21 is about. We're showing up and we have voice, and come join us.
Yeah, and I just want to say there will be professional services on there. This isn't just healing and arts, because there will be website development and graphic design and business cards, and that you will be able to work with a grandmother who has those skills, and and organizational skills and writing and all these gifts and talents. Our grandmothers, some of them are quite professional. They've spent their careers in corporate and in business, and now they can bring their gifts to us here. And we do welcome not just grandmothers, but other younger women who want to come and support and learn from. We can mentor each other. We can have that give and take, that reciprocity, where we give an hour, each of us give an hour and help each other. So lots of ways we'll be able, as we grow, to really bring the world the wisdom of women.
And we will have a code of ethics, a set of rules that to join the website. Yeah, there will be things that we have as common standards.
Yeah, we need to have kind communication with each other and be respectful. On Facebook, it gets challenging, and we don't know what posts will be seen by whom. We have almost 55,000 members in our Facebook group, and Facebook is, that's kind of hard to reach them all. It's pretty hard.
Well, it's also not as dangerous for we grandparents to post our pictures of our grandchildren. It's not a safe place, and it's not a safe place to bare our souls. And
yeah. And as we grow, there's one other space that we will eventually have on the main website. And that is the children's garden.
Yes.
As grandmothers gather their coloring books and their stories and their little activities, and we'll have a whole section where children can come in and just for free browse and see what things they're drawn to, and maybe print out some color pages, and maybe print out an activity, go out in nature, and here's how you can make a little medicine bundle for yourself, or whatever gifts that we come up with will be in the children's garden. That'll be fun. Music, dance, songs.
And also grandmother's wisdom. Oh, there's so much I want to share about that magical bridge of the grandmother to the grandchildren, the Rainbow Warrior is. And this is wisdom, like sharing with a child that they do not have to look people in the eyes. It's safe to keep their eyes down. And about dreams, what if the child has these kind of dreams? There's just a whole bunch of stuff that many people never had a grandmother in their life. And so this will be a first for them. And in the indigenous ways, we're becoming family. And that means that we have each other's back. And I know that from what I've been learning is that we will be political, that it will be a newsletter or postings that politics, as long as it's healthy, sustainable, kind delivery will be available. What else? We have a magazine.
Oh, yes.
And we also intend to continue these grandmothers' wisdom sharings at least once a month. We've got some wonderful grandmothers that from around the world. What do we have? 30 countries represented?
50.
50
50
possibly that will come onto the website. And so it's just an honor to be here.
And it's an honor for each of us that we come and we're getting so blessed by giving our service in this way. The blessings are just pouring through, and I am so grateful. You know, I lived and worked in Boise, Idaho, and Suzanne and I did not know each other while I was there, but we know all the same people.
I like to say that Mayana is a younger me. It's my teacher, Venerable Dahani Yawahu, who's my great teacher, planetary peacekeeper. She said, the highest honor of a great teacher is to look out and see a mirror reflection of themselves. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We want to reflect the highest good. And it's the prophesized time, the return of the ghost dancers, the return of the eternal holy scribes and grandmothers, that we're here to show up right now to say, I see a way. And it is filled with beauty and truth and kindness for the sake of all family of life, light, and nature.
And I have one more thing to say about the prophecies of the return of whatever the prophecy is, whatever culture, this return. In the Christian culture, it says it'll be in the twinkling of an eye. Mm-hmm. And what I've understood, and I just want to share this, maybe you can, the world can receive it, is when your eye twinkles, it's returned in your heart.
Yes.
So twinkle your eye. Feel that twinkle.
To the soul. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, thank you all. Thank you for your grace with us. And we will bring Marcine's original instruction teaching to you in a separate video. And apologize to Marcine for our confusion on her behalf.
Our worst nightmare is that we don't show up, but so we've experienced that and we keep on going on.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.